welcome back to Lantern Creek Farm. Hey y'all, before we get started, I just wanted to show you this little cutie pie. It's just starting to open its eyes. So sweet. Alright guys, we are getting into the warmer months here in Appalachia, here in the south. And I know that the true south, the south of us is getting a little bit warmer. And of course the north is warming up too. But down south of us, they're getting pretty warm. Now we are probably about 80 degrees today. Maybe on the upper end of 80, I'm not quite sure. But at least somewhere around 80 today, I haven't checked. But I want to talk about in today's video, I've touched on it a little bit here and there in other videos, but I really want to do just a separate video showing you how we keep our animals cool, our rabbits specifically cool, in the summer months, in the heat of the summer and the heat of the spring. It gets hot fairly quickly, and for your animals that have fur, especially rabbits, who are extremely susceptible to heat stroke and can die very easily from getting too hot, there needs to be actions taken to protect them and try to help them stay cool in the warmer months. The first thing we're going to talk about is water. So you can use multiple different containers for watering, but I recommend bowls. The main reason why I recommend bowls, or something like this that attaches to the cage, this is a quart, I believe, maybe a little more than that. The reason why I recommend them is because rabbits can dehydrate so quickly. And with your bottles that attach to the cage, a lot of times they will dehydrate more quickly on those than they will the bowls, because they can get an excess amount of the bowls. If you notice, we use stainless steel bowls. Let me see if I can get it out. Don't spill too much water. We use stainless steel bowls. We use them because they're easy to clean, but also if you're pouring cool water in this and you are in a shaded area, the water is going to stay cool much longer than it would in, say, a plastic black bowl or a water bottle. You need to make sure that you're giving your animals, if possible, fresh, clean, cool water at least twice a day, depending on how hot it is, 3 times a day. Alright guys, we are Miss Boise's cage, hint the nesting box here. Now we're going to talk about a couple different things here. One of them, and this should have been ripped off. It's not been. Somebody put it in here like that. But this usually is going to be ripped off. Here's an example here. These are water bottles. So another way we keep our animals cool is water bottles, frozen water bottles. As you can tell, the ice is in there. I just put these out about an hour ago and it's done melted that much. It's still good and cool, so they're laying up next to them. When I opened the cage, Boise moved, but she was laying up next to the cage. You're going to want to obviously take the wrapper off, and you're going to want to fill a water bottle up to, you know, a point where it can freeze and expand. But I freeze these water bottles, and on hot days I give my rabbits water bottles. We keep enough that we can circulate, so you know, they'll get a water bottle, and then the next day they'll get another water bottle, maybe a couple times a day, depending on how hot it is. These are, I find, very handy because the rabbit will lay up next to it, and they can cool down fairly quickly with just frozen water bottles. Since Miss Boise is right here next to us here, let's see if we can. Now, as you notice, I said before that she has kits in here. That's something else that you need to take in consideration. If you're in a very hot climate, a lot of people take breaks in the spring and the summertime, or at least the late springtime, for breeding their animals, because they can get heat stroke, like I said in the beginning, fairly quickly, and obviously they're going to get more hot more quickly if they're feeding kits and having to do all that, especially if they're giving birth, because they do get very hot and just stirred up when they are giving birth. So in her cage as well, you'll notice that I have these tiles. These are just ceramic tiles, like that you would tile your floor with, that you would do like a backsplash in your home with. These are amazing. So a lot of times when my rabbits are hot, even if it's not really hot, but it's just warm outside, you will see them laying on these tiles. The tiles keep cool. So if you've ever noticed like a dog or something and you've got like a tile in your kitchen, the dog will always lay on the tile to cool down. It's the same thing with these. These can be put in the freezer and frozen and put into their cage, and they're going to stay cool. So you could switch these out. These are fairly cheaply bought. I mean, used to you could buy them for just a couple cents. You can find them fairly cheap to buy. I usually do about 3 to 4. Miss Maybelline's cage has 5 in it. Just give them spaces to lay that'll keep cool. So what I do is I take my frozen water bottle, I'll lay it on one of the tiles. That way that tile is extra cool. As you can tell, she's looking at it now. When I open up the cage, she's probably getting ready to lay down. She was laying right here up next to that bottle. It keeps them good and cool, and it's a fairly cheap way to do it. Next tip, guys, if you can put your animals in the shade, well, you need to find a place for your cages to be in the shade. They have to be in the shade. If not, you will have animals die of heat stroke, especially if you're in some of the hotter, warmer climates. They have to have shade. So in here, we are in a barn area. It does get warm in here, but they are in shade. When we first started in rabbits, we had them in a cage where they were in the shade, and it stayed cool all summer long. I actually found that it was better for them out in that area than it was for the ones in here, but they do stay cool in here because they are in a shaded area. I'm coming out to the front of the barn here because back there Andy is running the tractor and the mower, and so it's kind of really loud. So just try to bear with us there. The next thing we want to talk about is fans. If you have a way to get electricity to where your rabbits are at, I highly recommend having some type of box fan or fan that you can put in front of them. That way they can get some air circulation. It comes in more handy in the very heat of the summer, the dog days of summer, just to keep that air flowing, along with the other things that we use, such as the tiles and the frozen water bottles. Something else that I want to mention too is you can use like frozen fruit or ice in your animals' water to keep them good and cool as well. With rabbits, you do have to be careful with the amount of fruit that you give them, but it's a good sweet treat, a good thing that they can have to kind of boost them, to give them a little bit more hydration, and keep them a little bit cooler in the summer months. The last thing I'm going to mention, guys, is don't be nervous in the summertime when your rabbits are hot if they quit eating as much. If a rabbit is hot, they're just not going to eat. My main goal in the summertime, of course, is to make sure that everybody's eating. They're not so far off that they're not eating, but my main thing is hydration. If you don't feed your rabbits or don't give them something besides water to keep them hydrated, a lot of times they will drink less. So something I like to do is go out in our pastures, gather up some good leafy greens and some clover and stuff like that. Something that will hydrate them and a little more than hay will. Hay will dehydrate them. So a lot of times in the summertime, I won't give my rabbits hay if it's a hotter day, because if they eat that will dry them out a lot quickly. So instead, I will give them fresh grass. That fresh grass is going to boost them in hydration, and it's kind of a treat, especially if they don't get it very often, that they will want to get up and eat. I find that it motivates my rabbits to eat a lot more in the hotter months, but also it's not something that's going to dry them out or cause them to get dehydrated a lot more quickly. I appreciate y'all watching. I hope this video was helpful. If anybody else has any tips down in the comments, go ahead and leave those down below. I'm sure there's other things that people use to help their rabbits stay cool in the summertime. Like I said, I can't stress this enough, that you have to keep your rabbits cool in the summertime. If not, you're going to have infant loss. You're going to have adult loss. They just get too hot too quickly. Let me go over some of the main points that I talked about. Make sure that you're keeping them hydrated in good cool water. Make sure that they're in the shade. Make sure that you're providing things that they can lay on or they can be next to that's going to keep them cool. If not, you will have issues with loss. It's unfortunate, but it happens every single day. I see it on Facebook groups all the time. People asking, hey, I've lost. I seen on Facebook the other day, they said, I've lost all of my rabbits besides 2 does and a buck. They had lost all their babies. They'd lost all their rabbits to heat. They just didn't get out there in time, and it killed them all. So it is very important that you keep those animals cool if you're going to keep rabbits. It's the main point pretty much with having rabbits. They do fine in the cold. They do not do well in the heat. But guys, I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate y'all hanging out. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I ask you to please subscribe if you would. And if you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. We love y'all. We'll see you later. Bye.